any kind of criminal justice system, particularly when you deal with violent crime, where so often the people who commit the violence don't have means. You get injured in an automobile accident, there's insurance that covers it.
Yes.
You get assaulted and mortally injured or disabled by someone in a violent crime. Quite often there's no recompense other than in government programs. And so it is a challenge. We've, in the United States, developed some programs for victim reparation, for out-of-pocket expenses. Money that we obtain from fines against corporations actually is used by state and local and federal prosecutors to compensate people for some minimal losses. But we don't have a system where victims actually come to court themselves, except maybe to submit a position at sentencing. In the continental law system, victims can actually file complaints and sort of participate in trials as if they were prosecutors themselves, and can call evidence and present a claim for compensation. And to some extent that's been reflected in the ICC, that victims can participate. It can create a chaotic situation. In the Bonga, the first case, there were 10 groups of victims, I think, that have been recognized, that each have attorney representation, and so you end up with kind of 11 prosecutors in the room. But in more recent cases, it's been limited to have representatives who represent a lot of the victims and make sure that at least their point of view is heard, or that they're able to participate in ways that make sure that important questions are asked. But at the end of the proceeding, there's the possibility that then judgments could be rendered against the perpetrators. They might not be collectible, and that would say that because you lost this family member because of this disabled condition, you're entitled to a certain compensation if it can be collected. Additionally, the ICC intends to go beyond that and have a trust fund for victims and to try to raise money from voluntary contributions, other means that they're reaching out to try to find resources that could be used then to provide reparations to victims. Now, that's still a challenging thing, getting enough resources in, because of the horrendous nature of the crimes. When you have things like in the DRC, or in the Turi in the Northeast, and the Kivus now, places where the prosecutor has filed cases, you have people involved in the very individual cases, but then you have people involved in similar cases that can be really thousands of victims, and to provide meaningful compensation to each of them is difficult, though they're still searching for ways that perhaps they can do that, or provide sort of collective reparations, programs that would then be available in that area to help all of them. So, but clearly, whenever you go out, and I've spent a lot of time with Congo in particular, of course I had the experience in Sierra Leone with so many people who've been raped and mutilated. They're always saying, what these courts cost a lot of money. Where's the thing of the victims? So the ICC is trying to respond to that.
All right. So what the court offers that other systems perhaps don't is a particular kind of redress and redemption, a sense by the victim that he's been heard in a very special way, and that the court has proclaimed to the world what has happened to him. This is like the Eli Wiesel statement that almost worse than the pain of the violation itself was the world's indifference to it, and the court mends that.
And that's one thing that I think we should expect these courts to do, to make these statements when they find what happened.
Yes.
And the horrendous cruelty that at the time that it unfolded, the world ignored, that was vandalized by the people who were involved in it. And now you've got the truth coming out, and the sort of declaration of what occurred, and the condemnation to the extent the evidence is there that this person's responsible, that they're convicted and found responsible for murder, for rape, for genocide, for whatever, and with the victims, those dead, survivors, and those living who are scarred by the experience.
As you've emphasized in your speeches, it's that finding of accountability that is right at the core of this, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, I mean, you can't, it doesn't physically put food on the table, I suppose, for people that have had a disabling, injury like amputees in Sierra Leone, or people who've been raped in ways that are, destructive of their health, and physical situation. But it's still a meaningful part of this. And when you talk to victims, they say yes, this is important.
Good.
They don't discount it. They ask, is there something more, which is natural. You've suffered so much, but this is a key part of it. And I've never found a victim who didn't want to see justice done.
That's inspiring. And that's part of what makes this such a good cause to work on, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, it's a painful thing, and I've spent a lot of time talking to victims and to the survivors. Actually, I tend to find it a motivating thing. I mean, I remember recently meeting with the mothers of Srebrenica, and of course, many people who meet with the mothers.
This was the big massacre.
The massacre of 7,000, 8,000 men and boys.
In the Bosnian War.
In the Bosnian War, killed in a safe area. It should have been safe, but there was only a small Dutch peacekeeping unit that was nearby without mandate for human protection, without the capacity to deal with it. And they shipped the women and the really young away. They're very old, but then the men and boys were kept in places and murdered about 8,000 before the Bosnian Serb forces under the command of Rapp, who remains at large. And as part of a policy by his political superior, Radovan Karadzic, who's now on trial in The Hague,